Y'all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1, action. So guys, this story is a little worrying. Not gonna lie. I don't think this is going to have a catastrophic impact on most people. It is one of those small steps towards fascism type things, but nonetheless, I do think it's important to talk about because the possibilities are quite scary. As many of you guys know, Roe v. Wade is gone. The Supreme Court yeeted that thing out the window well over a year ago now. We thought that Trump and, not even Trump, but MAGA killing Roe v. Wade through the Supreme Court would be one of the biggest death blows to his campaign in the following election possible, but it didn't prove to be so. It seems that America is not that attached to the right to have an abortion and to choose whether or not you create life and pass it through your birth canal as I thought. And that's a pretty grim case. I mean, I can't be the only one who's surprised about that, right? Like, you can say so in chat now if, like, whatever your perception was, but, like, I really felt that, like, 80% or at least somewhere in that ballpark of women not only were pro-choice, but were pro-choice enough that, like, a presidential candidate doing what Trump and the people around Trump did would be an immediate deal breaker for them. I really thought that women were going to come in massively clutch and bring about the biggest devastating loss Trump has ever experienced, especially after the Roe v. Wade Supreme Court stuff, because Trump appointed that Supreme Court. That was Trump's Supreme Court that did that. I'm not the only one who felt like Trump destroyed himself with that move, right? Or that the Supreme Court destroyed Trump with that move, I guess you could say. Never heard of abortion before, I believe. There's no way you've never heard of abortion before. You're joking, Rail Deprod. You're memeing. Like, comment down below if you're watching this when it goes out as a video on its own on YouTube. If you also, or didn't also, think that this anti-abortion stuff the Republicans have been pushing would be the death of Trump's campaign. I thought it would be, and I was shocked at how few women seem to have, like, felt the motivation to go out and keep Trump from taking office. And hell, the anti-abortion stuff is just the cherry on top of a whole pile of reasons why American women should have came out in droves to keep Trump out of office. So, looking into this, it shouldn't shock you that the Supreme Court is currently hearing a case that could see a significant amount of Planned Parenthood clinics get shut down. Now, to be clear, Planned Parenthood is not just the abortion clinics, right? Like, we all think of it and it's like, that's where you go to get an abortion, right? No. Planned Parenthood provides a lot of valuable health care. A lot of neonatal care for people who want to actively carry a baby to, like, term and actually have a baby and raise it and for it to be healthy. Planned Parenthood provides care for that. Planned Parenthood provides also, like, HRT help for trans people. Planned Parenthood provides like, checkups for like, to-be mothers. They provide the access to contraceptives. They provide access to tests for STDs or STIs or whatever, and they provide treatment for those things. A lot of things that have any connection whatsoever to sexual health, Planned Parenthood provides some of the best service available for. This is not just an abortion rights thing, it's a healthcare access thing. There is a lot of good that Planned Parenthood does, even if you're not super big on abortion, or it doesn't thrill you that they provide abortions as a service. Over 95%, if I recall correctly, of their actions are non-abortion related. That makes sense. I think it's like around 90 to 95, yeah. Nonetheless, apparently, the Supreme Court might make a move that would lead to the closing of a whole lot of Planned Parenthoods. From what I've heard, things have gone fairly well with this hearing, surprisingly. Like, with the Supreme Court that we have, it's surprising things have not gone worse, but there could be a nightmare outcome here where several states end up just banning Planned Parenthood, I guess. This seems like it's the first steps to try and make that happen, at least to me, on the outside looking in. But let's look on the inside now, huh? The U.S. Supreme Court seemed closely divided on Wednesday in a case testing whether states can remove Planned Parenthood clinics from state Medicaid programs, even though Medicaid cannot generally be used to fund abortions. Under the Medicaid law, the federal government provides the lion's share of Medicaid funding for all 50 states. In exchange, the states must meet a variety of requirements. One of those is that Medicaid patients are entitled to choose their doctors. In the words of the statute, they are entitled to treatment from any qualified and willing provider. In South Carolina, that includes Planned Parenthood South Atlantic, which provides low-income patients with many run-of-the-mill services from cancer screenings to full physical exams. To be clear, it is bullshit that you cannot use federal support to pay for Planned Parenthood services because they do offer abortions, when so much of what they do and what you would statistically be likely to go there for has nothing to do with terminating a pregnancy. Also, how partisan is it that we've decided you're not allowed to spend federal support money on an abortion? That, like, no. Okay, the Republicans agreed that you can get money to support you if you're as poor as you are, but you can't spend it on an abortion. Not only that, but you can't spend it anywhere that provides abortions. It's so fucking silly, dude. It's so silly. But in 2018, the state's Republican governor issued executive orders terminating Planned Parenthood from participating in the Medicaid program. Those orders were repeatedly blocked by the lower courts, prompting South Carolina to appeal. Planned Parenthood has long trumpeted the fact that it provides health care in all 50 states, but this case could end that nationwide footprint if the Supreme Court rules in favor of South Carolina. On Wednesday, the question before the Supreme Court was whether individuals can go to court at all to vindicate their right to choose their doctors under the Medicaid law. Lawyer John Bursch, representing South Carolina, argued that the Medicaid statute does not mention the word right or its functional equivalent, and thus individuals have no right to sue to enforce the choice of doctor provision. Justice Elena Kagan wasn't buying that argument. Quote, "The state has an obligation to ensure that a person, I don't even know how to say this without saying right, has the right to choose their doctor," she said. Kagan noted that the U.S. Congress specifically amended the Medicaid law to ensure the freedom to choose one's doctor under Medicaid. That's not what this provision is. It's impossible to even say the thing without using the word right, she said. Why? Like, this is the kind of shit the Republicans pull where it's like, sure, you can create a policy that kind of does what you want, but also you can't use certain words in the wording of your policy, otherwise we won't agree to it. And conveniently, those words make it really hard to write up that policy in a way that actually has the desired impact. That's the level of, like, a game politics is to Republicans at the end of the day. They don't take it all that seriously, while simultaneously taking it really fucking seriously. I don't know how they do it. Justice Amy Coney Barrett asked what resource she would have if she wanted to see Dr. Jones, a fully qualified provider. But the state wouldn't cover the charges because Dr. Jones was at Planned Parenthood. Couldn't she sue to enforce her choice of physician? In that scenario, you're depriving me of my ability to see the provider of my choice, she suggested. Bursch, the lawyer for the state, replied that patients don't have a magic wand allowing them to pick their doctor. In states where abortion is banned or severely restricted, Planned Parenthood is able to remain in business largely because its clinics provide non-abortion services, and Medicaid covers much of the cost for low-income parents. Okay, so it's only for the services they provide that are abortion-related where Medicaid won't cover it. Okay, that's good at least. I was worried that, like, straight up you could not get any service from a Planned Parenthood covered by Medicaid because Planned Parenthood also offers abortions, and Republicans didn't want any federal funding going to paying for that or anything that could be related to that. That's nice at least. Okay, I misunderstood before. That's my bad. Wednesday's case has implications beyond South Carolina. If the Supreme Court rules for the state of South Carolina in this case, Planned Parenthood would likely have to close its doors in the state, and the ripple effect would be profound, spreading to many other states where politicians have long tried to make it impossible for Planned Parenthood to provide non-abortion services. If, on the other hand, the court rules in favor of Planned Parenthood, it can continue to provide the same medical service for low-income people and be reimbursed by Medicaid for most of the cost. Representing Planned Parenthood South Atlantic, lawyer Nicole Sarosky told the justices that Congress clearly established an individual right in the law, a right that the state cannot abridge and that an individual may sue to enforce. Questioned by Justice Samuel Alito about the potential for a flood of lawsuits, she pointed to the dozens and dozens of provisions imposed in the state under the Medicaid law. She noted that only 8 or 9 of them are, by law, enforceable by individuals, yet none has led to a flood of lawsuits. From there, she pivoted to a different point, the state's contention that Medicaid's any qualified provider provision has led to lawyers gobbling up legal fees or patients somehow profiting from these lawsuits. Quote, "It's wrong to suggest that individuals on Medicaid are seeking some kind of financial benefit," she said. "They are not seeking monetary damages," she observed. "All they want is a court order allowing Planned Parenthood, a qualified Medicaid provider, to remain in the state, where it has operated for decades, treating principally low-income patients." Quote, "These aren't people getting rich," said lawyer Sarosky. "They're just trying to get health care. A decision in the case is expected in June." Man, I'm not gonna lie. This Supreme Court might be the worst possible lineup to make a decision on this issue. And keep in mind, before this even makes it to court in June, Project 2025 has laid out the plan for the oldest of the Supreme Court justices to step down during Trump's term in the next 4 years. And Trump, or at least MAGA, plans for Trump to appoint, I think it's 3 or 4, 30 years old to 40 years old Supreme Court justices. Their plan is to find like 30-something-year-old Republicans that Trump will put into place as Supreme Court justices, like 3 of them over the next few years. All the MAGA ones are planning to step down so they can be replaced, supposedly. And their goal is to lock in the Supreme Court as hard Republican majority for the next 50 years. That's what Project 2025 lays out. Ugh, God. I'm right there with you, Ashroom. And you're Canadian. You know, I'm American. I have to live under the authority of that Supreme Court. And keep in mind, a Supreme Court for the next 50 years means I'd have to live to be 76 years old to ever see a not hard-stacked Republican Supreme Court in my lifetime after what's happened. Because I'm 26 now. It would take 76... I would have to be 76 years old and live that long in order to see our country and our Supreme Court return to a modicum of what it had before, assuming that that lineup sticks around for 50 years. And that's their goal. They want to replace all the MAGA guys on the Supreme Court with 30-year-olds that will not step down for the rest of their lives. What is this archaic system? Some sort of council of elders? Literally a council of elder motherfuckers who have to age out or voluntarily relinquish power Besides that, there is a very complicated impeachment process. Besides that, it's like a massive pain in the dick to remove a Supreme Court justice from power, and they hold that power like for their whole lives, and they're appointed by partisan elected temporary officials that have term limits. It's insane. Guys with term limits appoint people with no term limits. I do think the Supreme Court is kind of insane. Like, the judiciary branch is important, don't get me wrong, but like I'm sure there are ideally in liberal democracy good reasons for it to exist, but I'm not gonna lie, it feels like an obvious loophole for any insanely partisan administration to game, and they did it. They gamed it. They figured it out. If Trump follows through with that Project 2025 plan, we're kind of cooked for about half a century. No joke. No joke. Half a century, we're cooked. If Trump can ignore the courts, future progressive administrations can too. I think you underestimate the level of, like, enormous double standard progressives are treated with compared to conservatives. I'm not even gonna pretend it's untrue. Like, if a Republican goes out and does something insane, like if they go out and they like literally like abuse a child, that will be treated far less harshly than if a liberal, or especially if like a liberal trans person or something did the exact same thing, or even something half as bad. Like, Dr. Disrespect is now at the peak of his streaming career right now, for reference, right? Like, being a straight white conservative guy online, or just in life in general, you are treated to you have a much lower standard to reach, and that is expected of you, to receive no criticism whatsoever than the average liberal does. If you, like, breathe the wrong way, society treats you worse as a liberal and calls you a hypocrite or an asshole. But if you're a conservative, the bar is so low, no one fucks with you as long as you're just not actively fucking with anyone else, right? Like, the standard is insane. The double standard, I should say, is insane. I can't be the only one who's noticed that either, right? Like, come on. Maybe I'm just being a liberal crybaby right now or something, but it feels like as a progressive or a liberal or a leftist, the double standard is immense. If you breathe the wrong way, it feels like everyone wants like your head. Meanwhile, conservatives can do the worst shit ever and no one gives a fuck. It's like it's expected, but not in a, oh, they're awful, of course they behave that way kind of way, but in a, that's just how they act, it's not bad kind of way. Like, no one criticizes them for it. No one thinks it's a bad thing that they behave that way. Obama tan suit. There you go, Delancer. Obama when he wore the tan suit. I don't think there is a better example than that. Or Obama when he ordered Dijon mustard. Do you remember that? He went to a restaurant and he ordered Dijon mustard instead of good old normal proletariat mustard. And like the Republicans tried to call him like snooty, rich, and disconnected because he ordered Dijon mustard. Oh, Mr. President, you need your Dijon mustard? They tried to do that. They legitimately, Fox News ran that story for a week when Obama was president. No joke. Anyway. I don't want to get too off topic before I wrap things all up here. So if you guys enjoyed this segment, if you found it entertaining, educational, or in any way enjoyable whatsoever, then please consider leaving a like and a comment down below. Every single thumbs up and every single comment, especially if you do both, actively boosts my channel in the algorithm, pushing it out to more people and helping the channel to grow with more subscribers. So I really appreciate everyone who does that. Make sure to subscribe and ring the bell icon too if you're new and you haven't done so already, as I burp, of course. And if you haven't already and you want to see more from me on other platforms, be sure to follow my social medias linked down below in the description, especially my fan Discord. If you don't know about it, it's the main hub of my community and fan base. I host gaming events, call-in streams, watch parties, and other things like that in there, including announcing all my new uploads and streams as well. So if you don't want to miss anything, join my Discord. Links in the description once again. And finally, if you want to support me, help me keep the lights on and a roof above my head here at the Xander Hall studio by providing financial support, you can afford it and you feel like it, then consider donating. subscribing or gifting a subscription to someone else on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, StreamElements, Patreon, or maybe even buy some custom Xander Hall merch through the Streamlabs link down below in the description. Regardless of how you support me, though, thank you all so much for watching as always, and I hope you have a good one.